All right, today we're going to talk about how to increase your page views and lower your bounce rate. So basically what that means, if like you're not really familiar with those terms, increasing your page views means once a visitor comes to your site, whether it's through an organic search on Google or maybe they found a Pinterest pin, they click through to it and land on your site. The page views is how many pages are being viewed while they're there. And so your goal is to always have, let's say you have 5,000 sessions, so 5,000 visitors to your site in a month. Your page views should be double, triple, or even more than the number of visitors or sessions, because that means when they land on your site, they're literally staying and reading more and more blog posts. Your bounce rate is important because a very high bounce rate, so really anything over 80%, means that your visitors on average are landing on a post and then leaving. Like they're not clicking through to other things on your site. And in the eyes of Google, that's a really bad thing because people click and leave. That kind of means that your site's not engaging or your content's not relevant. Now, that's not probably what it really means. It just means that that's how Google is seeing it. And as a result, it may lower your ranking as far as being shown in search results and so forth. So I'm going to show you some really simple ways to increase the page views of the visitors that are on your site and how to keep them on your page longer and also lower your bounce rate. All right, so the first one is going to be your navigation. And so it's really important. Your navigation is how you give your readers kind of a map of how to get around your site. And so it's really important that, and so if you're not sure what navigation is, that's these links up here. Now, my site, Kingdom Bloggers, is kind of laid out differently than most. So I'm going to show you our other website, Girl Bosses Rock, just to give you some reference of different navigation methods. So many designs for themes will kind of have it in this way where you have the header and then you have these links right underneath here. And so generally speaking, you want to have links that let your reader know, like what is the content, what do you have? And so these would be your categories. So if you haven't gone through the categories and tags training, be sure to watch that video as well. But this is like, okay, I land on this site and maybe I'm bored with the post that I'm reading. Well, what else does she offer? What else is she writing about? And so you can see here, these are blogging, finance, and lifestyle. These are the three general topics that we write about on Girl Bosses Rock. So my reader can click here to find more content specifically on that subject. Over here on Kingdom Bloggers, we have faith content, which is called the blog. And then, of course, we have our blogging tips. And so from the blog, because we have multiple categories that our contributing writers write about, if you hover over that, the drop down gives them the individual categories so they can find more faith content specific to, a specific area that they may be struggling with. And then, of course, if they're looking for the blogging tips, they click right over here. And so most of these are links that are actually leading to other things on this website. Now, there are a few. So Kingdom Bloggers Academy actually takes them away from our site to our Teachable Academy. This is a resource page on our site. So again, these are links to things that we want our readers to click through to without making them having to go looking for it. The worst thing you can do is make your reader work and put forth effort to find more content. Like that is your job as the owner of the site. Let's face it, in today's society and, digital age, we're like, I want it now. I don't want to have to work for what I'm wanting. And so you need to make it as simple as possible for them to find the stuff that you want them to get to. All right, so next we're going to kind of talk about a few other things. So this is our blog feed, so all of our regular blog content, not our blogging tips or anything like that. So the next one, you want to have a recent or maybe a featured post. There's multiple widgets. There's like a recent post, featured post, maybe related posts. There's several different ones. You want to have one of those over here on the sidebar. And I highly recommend doing the ones that actually have the title spelled out because this is going to let them know like exactly what the content is. There are some of the widgets that allow you to put a thumbnail image here. If you choose to do that, make sure that how that thumbnail image displays really shows the title. I've seen several sites that the images are really pretty, but it either cuts off the title so you can't really read what it is, or it's just so busy that it's hard to see the title. And so you want your reader to be able to read the title, because the title is what's going to catch their attention. All right, the other place, and this will be like in an actual blog post. Let me show you here. So you have the sidebar one, and then an after post widget also. And you should have both of these. Let me click over to this one, because again, they finished the post and now they're here, they're down to the end, and there's multiple styles of recent posts. So these, we have an additional widget here for our contributing writers that takes up space. But this is our recent post widget. And so this is just like the last several posts that have been written. You could also do one that's a related post, and normally those pull based on the category that you've assigned that post. So if you've assigned it to faith, any post that you've written and assigned to the category of faith, it'll pull in a related post widget. So whichever one. But again, you want to have it in both places. Again, the whole point is to put those links in front of them no matter where they are in the course of reading your blog post. Now, the last one we're going to talk about is actually what I would think is the most important, and also the one that's most unused. But this is the one that's going to get you the most click-throughs to reading more content. And that's what we call interlinking. And this is actually important on many levels. It's important for SEO. We're not going to talk about that so much in this content. But it's very important that in every single blog post that you write, that you link to other blog posts that you've written. If you don't have at least 1 to 2 links within a single blog post that lead over to another blog post, you're going to miss out on serious opportunities for your readers to stay on your site. Now, we don't just throw them in there haphazardly. There is a method. Be very intentional with the links that you use. And so what we're going to do what's called anchor text. And so this is important for SEO, but for the purpose of this training in this video, we're going to talk about it in reference to keeping your readers longer on your website. So this post here is about finding rest when you're having a second baby with a toddler at home. So it's like a pregnant mama that's about to have a baby and she's got a toddler already at home giving her a hard time. And so when you link to another post, the one thing you never want to do to read more about XYZ, click here. And then you hyperlink, click here. Never, never, never do that. Click here has no SEO value whatsoever, okay? You want to do it in a very natural, kind of organic way. And so if you see here, we're talking about growing a baby's hard work and even harder when you're pregnant with a second baby and on full blast toddler wrangler mode all day long. Be intentional about resting and recharging your toddler's nap time. So you notice here, be intentional about resting is in gold. So all of our links are in gold. Side note, all of your links, something you want people to click on, like a clickable piece of text, needs to either be a different color or bold. It needs to be clearly identifiable, clear as day to your reader that this is something they can click on. If you keep it looking like the rest of the text here, they're not going to know it's something to be clicked upon. So the best way to do that is pick a color that flows with your theme, like we have the gold. Make your clickable links always the same color. Don't switch them up. Don't change them every time. That way your readers begin to recognize like, oh, it's gold. I need to click on it. Okay. All right. So back to the topic. So we're going to click on Be Intentional About Resting, and it is going to go over to a post about self-care for the mom who craves me time. So it's not the exact same keyword, but it means the same thing. Be intentional about resting. Resting, we know self-care, taking care of ourselves as a mom. And so by linking it in, this is called anchor text, the anchor that you're linking away from. You always want it to kind of have some kind of value to the destination. So whatever words you use here need to somehow, they don't have to be the exact keyword, like we didn't use self-care, but being intentional about resting kind of means the same thing. And so your reader's going to click on that because it's naturally kind of like, well, what is she saying about being intentional? Maybe she's going to tell me how to do that. And then they're going to go over and they're going to read that other post. Now we do set these to open in a new window. So this original post stays open. They click over here, they read this other one, and then hopefully click back over and finish reading the original post. But by doing this, you're you just increase by one page view for them to go read another piece of content, but it's lowering that bounce rate because they're staying on your site longer. Here's another one. We busy mamas find our true rest. So this goes to another post that we have written on the site. Now we also, at the end, sometimes it's really hard, maybe depending, especially if it's maybe something that's sort of new that you're writing about, or maybe in the course of this post, you really could only find one way to link naturally like this to another post. We also add a few additional posts at the very end. So this is not a widget. This is literally in the content where we just say more tips for new moms, or be sure to also read these additional pieces on, whatever is the topic of this particular post, and then just link to them. We do both in our everything that we write. All of our blog posts have them in this manner, and then we have a couple at the end as well. And so this is in addition to the end of post widget. So your widget itself does not have value for SEO on the post, but by having the links to additional content, that is actually helping your SEO. And again, SEO is a whole nother video tutorial that we're going to do, so I don't want to go too deep into that. But for the purposes of keeping them, they've read through this, maybe they went ahead and read these other posts, and that's great. Now they're to the end of their post, and these are going to be ones that you explicitly select yourself, like you've selected these as being somehow related to this post. So like I mentioned before, your end of post, if you use a related post widget, let's say mine's a recent post, but let's say you use one that's related post, it's just going to pull a handful from any other post you've written and assigned to that category. But as you write more and more content, a category could have, a multiple kind of different topics under that same category. Like for this post, this is under our parenting category, but we write things for moms. We write things about self-care. We write things about giving your child to God. So they don't necessarily all exactly relate, but they're still under parenting. So this way you can pick out a few more that are more specifically related to the post you just wrote. And so that is it. If you go through and implement these, really tidy up your navigation, give your readers something to click on. Don't just do one of these things that I've mentioned. Like, you literally need to implement all of these. That way, no matter where your reader is, they're going to have the opportunity to click on something because you've literally placed it right in front of them. That's the key. Like I said before, people are lazy in this age that we live in. We want it now. We don't want to have to take multiple steps. If you make your readers take too many steps to get to the goal that you're wanting, they're just going to click away and go somewhere else. So when you put it like right in front of them, that kind of shiny thing syndrome, that's what I say with the different color of text, people naturally going to be like, oh, I wonder what this is, and they're going to click on it. Also, these here, maybe as they're scrolling through here and they get bored with this post, this just kind of like when you're at the grocery store, all that stuff in the checkout aisle that you had no intention of buying when you walked into the store. This is that. This is that in the checkout, all that candy and little bitty things that you really don't need, but you just can't resist because it looks so enticing sitting there while you're waiting for the checkout lady who's so slow to ring up the person in front of you. And next thing you know, you have 3 of these things in your basket. So by putting it there as they're reading through, they might, oh, devotional books for women. I didn't come here looking for that, but now that I see it, yeah, I might be interested in that. And then, of course, the ones at the end of the post, as they're going down to comment, they might see them there as well. So I hope this was helpful. As far as the anchor texting that we talked about, every post that you write should have at least 1 to 2 links to another post that you've already written. Once you've published this post, go to those other posts that you've already published and link to the newer ones. Like, don't post them and forget them. If you didn't know, you can look here on your, let me go to posts really quick. And this way you can kind of keep track So this is your posts dashboard, right? And over here you have these two little things. So this first one is the number of outgoing internal links in this post. So this post about abortion has links to 5 other blog posts on our site. It's a brand new post. It was just published last week. And so there's only one other post that actually links to it. So that tells me I need to spend a day and go and check all of our posts to make sure every post is linking to a handful of other posts, but also that every post is being linked from a handful of other posts. So you can scroll through here, and any ones that are really low or like have zeros, the benefits of fasting. So I need to go add this post to a couple of older posts. So no matter where a person ends up on your site, they have the opportunity to read through more of the content. And the most effective and efficient way to do that is through the anchor texting. All right, so I hope this was helpful. Next, we are going to go on to some other topics for SEOing your back end of your website to get it ready so that Google will start indexing your content more effectively.